Rainbow Reflections Book 1, A Kind of Magic. Chapter 2, On the Prowl. Good morning! Zinnivis flung the door open as she shouted, grinning from ear to ear. She gripped the edges of the door frame and rocked back and forth on her feet. A moment later, a second call rang through the tower, bouncing off the stone walls. Good morning, Zyn. It was her sister, Ren. The siblings, or twins as they like to refer to themselves as, called out greetings every single day. Ever since Zyn read in a book that it was good practice to greet the spirits in nature each morning, she had adopted the practice for fun. Ren quickly picked up on it too. Zyn couldn't remember a time where she and Ren didn't scream greetings first thing in the morning. Once Zyn received Ren's acknowledgement, she dashed down the stone steps, already dressed in her usual fashion. A striped shirt, baggy pants, and a bright orange robe depicting golden sun patterns. Her scarlet hair was spiky and short, parted to the left. Just like her sister and father wore their hair. Unlike her purple-eyed family, only her left eye was violet. Her right eye was emerald. She reached her sister's room on the floor beneath her bedroom. Ren's door was already open, and Ren herself sat in the middle of the lavender-painted room, matching the walls with her purple hair and robe. The window was wide open, allowing a soft breeze to blow through and rustle the many potted plants. Plants hung from the ceiling, sat on the wide desk on one side of the room, stood in large pots on the wooden floor, and even hung outside the window. Sweet floral scents meshed with the earthy soil, reminding Zyn of traveling through a jungle whenever she entered her twin's room. Though there were plants seemingly everywhere, the room did not feel as cluttered as a forest, and instead felt airy and light. Meditating again? Zyn asked as soon as she entered. Ren didn't turn to face her sister. She was sitting in the lotus position on the ground, her back to the door and her palms facing upwards. Zyn knew without looking that her violet eyes would be closed behind her rectangular glasses. Zyn jumped into a seated position beside her and saw that she was correct. I can never understand how you just sit there like that, Zyn commented after a moment. Ren opened one eye to glance sidelong at her, a smile dancing on her lips. It's meditation, Zyn, not torture. It's torture if you can't sit still, Zyn chuckled, springing to her feet. Ren opened both of her angular eyes and looked up at Zyn. Maybe if you put in the effort, you'd be able to do it too, she suggested. Nah, it's too boring, Zyn said with a shrug, grinning. Ren snorted in amusement and got to her feet as well. She brushed off her sports shorts, ran a hand through her parted hair, and beamed. Well, happy birthday, Zyn, she said joyfully. What's it feel like being 14? Finally have your magic? Only one way to find out, Zyn exclaimed, and she punched the air in front of her, concentrating on the magic within her. But nothing happened. How do you do magic again? Zyn asked Ren. Ren had discovered her magic at 11, though most people summon their magic at 13 or 14. Zyn waited eagerly for 13, but her magic had still been absent. She tried to summon it several times the past year, but figured she'd have to wait for her 14th birthday on July 28th. You just need to reach inside you and bring it forward, Ren said simply. Zyn stared at her. But how? There was a knock on the door, and the two looked up to see a man in a blue robe. He had indigo hair reaching just past his shoulders, parted to the left like the twins. A unibrow sat above his neon violet eyes, and his mustache appeared as two long strands that hung past his squarish chin. I should have known you'd be in here, Hyaktu said to Zyn, entering the room with a wide grin on his face. Happy birthday! Dad, how do I do magic? Zyn asked her father, running over to him. Hyaktu chuckled at the abrupt question. You need to relax, reach inside yourself, and let it flow out. You can't try forcing it. Zyn crossed her arms over her chest and grunted, You two need to work on your explanation skills. And he opened a school, she grumbled sarcastically to Ren telepathically. Ren snorted in laughter, then said, We're trying, you know. Hyaktu raised one end of his unibrow at Zyn. If you can say it to Ren, you can say it to me. Zyn stuck out her tongue at him playfully. Then work on your teaching skills, Mr. Saihan. They all laughed for a moment. Then Hyaktu said, You'll learn soon enough. After all, assessments are next week. I'm so excited you'll be taking magic classes this year. What, did you get tired of teaching us about math and history? Zyn scoffed playfully. Very, Hyaktu said blandly, before he smiled and placed his hands on both of their shoulders. I've dreamed of this day ever since I had plans of building this school. Now that you both have your magic, you can finally learn. Hello, I don't have any magic still, Zyn said, waving her hands around. You'll have it, Yaktu said plainly. Then tell me how to summon it, Zyn insisted. I already did. If you can't summon it by next week, I'll have you do the magic assessments, Yaktu told her. Zyn sighed in exasperation. This was just like her father, making her wait for things when she couldn't figure them out on her own. Let's go have breakfast, Yaktu said, and he left the room. Zyn waited for his footsteps to fade away, then turned to Ren, her hands clenching into fists at her sides as her body tensed. You have to help me summon my magic before the assessments next week, she said, her heart beating quickly. But the magic assessments are there to help you and all the other students summon their magic in the first place, Ren pointed out. They aren't real tests, you know. I guess not, but I don't want to do them if I don't have to, Zyn muttered. Please help me. You know I will, Ren said. She tapped her pointed chin for a moment, then exclaimed, I have an idea. What is it? Zyn asked eagerly. Come join me for a meditation session. Zyn groaned inwardly, but followed Ren to the center of her plant-filled room. She sat down beside her sister, facing the window. Straighten your back and close your eyes, Ren instructed. Once you're relaxed, I'll give you a guided meditation to let you journey inwards to discover your magic. Zyn nodded, doing as she said. She kept her eyes closed in as relaxed a way as possible, breathing as slowly as she could. All she could smell were stinky flowers that made her nose twitch and itch. Holding back a sneeze, she forced herself to concentrate on Ren's soft voice. Focus on your breath. Good. That keeps you from being distracted. The moment Ren said the word, Zyn automatically began thinking of other things. Her mind swirled in a distracted frenzy, jumping from magic to the games they'd play that day, to the cool-looking fog outside, to wondering what type of magic she had, to wondering if plants could help her discover her magic. She no longer paid much attention to Ren. There's a large pond in the clearing, Ren said gently, as Zyn finally managed to focus on her medium voice again. Its surface is so still, so shiny. You walk towards the pond. The grass is light and springy underfoot. You stop at the pond and look down at your reflection. Zyn imagined this to the best of her ability, but her reflection seemed to be very shimmery or non-existent. Your reflection stares back at you, then lifts her hand. One of the 4 elements is floating in her palm, showing you your inner magic. Embrace it. Zyn tried to picture the choppy reflection of herself as Ren said, but she didn't know which element she'd have, fire or air. You feel the magic moving through your body, coursing through your fingertips, Ren persisted. You feel an energy within. This is your magic. Zyn felt energy within, but she didn't know if it was actually magic or just her normal energy. Frowning as she considered this, she soon stopped listening to Ren once more, her mind flitting about. Now jump up and punch the air! Ren yelled fiercely, waking Zyn from her stupor. She jolted in surprise, then hopped to her feet and punched the air like Ren had ordered. But nothing happened. I was hoping that would work, Ren grumbled in dismay. Did you feel anything at all? Zyn sighed and shook her head. It was kinda hard to focus, she muttered, sneezing as her nose couldn't take the floral scents any longer. I'm sorry, Zyn. I can't think of what else you can do, Ren admitted. I found my magic by meditating. We can always try researching more books, but I'm not sure if we'll be able to get away with looking up magic books. Aster always finds a way to stop us. We'll just have to go to the library at night when Aster's not snooping around, Zyn said, wondering why she hadn't thought of that before. She and Ren had tried many times to get their hands on magic books, but Hyaktu was strict about keeping any knowledge of magic from their clutch until they were of age to attend school. Ren bit her bottom lip. I don't want to get in trouble. You know we're not supposed to look at those books. Besides, Aster locks the library every night. Zyn sighed and played with a string on her robe, lowering her gaze. Then what am I supposed to do? If meditation and punching the air doesn't work? You have to keep trying, Ren said firmly. You're new to meditation, so if you want to give it another go later tonight, maybe once you're more worn out and relaxed, we can. And we can try again tomorrow morning and every day until you find your magic. Zyn fidgeted uneasily. But what if I don't have it by the time the magic assessments are here? That could be a good thing, Ren pointed out. The assessments teach you how to summon magic. That's why they exist. Zyn sighed again and reverted to telepathy. I just don't want to take these assessments. I know, Ren replied by thoughts, her voice echoing lightly in Zyn's head. But they can't be all that bad if they're used every year on new students. It's not so much that, it's performing magic in front of everyone, Zyn thought lamely, tugging the string absent-mindedly. But you love acting. Just think of it as an acting performance, Ren pointed out, beaming at Zyn. No, it's not like an acting performance, not if I don't have time to prepare or know what I'm supposed to be doing, Zyn replied dimly, mouthing the words as she thought them. I don't want to do those assessments. I just want my magic to come. It will, Ren promised. Let's go get some breakfast, she said aloud, ending their telepathic conversation. Zyn sighed and got to her feet, following Ren down the tower stairs, the air warm around them. They passed the bathroom on the second floor and reached the family room on the ground floor. This room was painted blue, including the rugs covering the wooden floor. 2 tables were against the right wall, where tall windows overlooked the forest beyond the school. To the left was a couch and an armchair, sky blue in color. The couch faced a fireplace, while the armchair sat next to a bookshelf. Above the stone fireplace was a large picture of Hyaktu and the twins when they were younger. Several more pictures of the family hung on the walls, making the room feel warm and welcoming. The siblings crossed the room and made it to the front door of the tower. Zyn opened the door and they slipped into the Tai Chi studio, which was empty at the moment. After all, school was out for the summer break, meaning that Zyn and Ren had free run of the entire school. Zyn locked the door behind them, out of habit since it wasn't necessary to lock the door without any students around. Then the students hurried from the classroom to the courtyard outside. 2 large gardens were situated in the courtyard, with one in the north to their left, and the other next to the western wall, in front of them. A huge pond lay in the southeastern corner, diagonally to their left. The southern building straight ahead held the eating hall, entrance hall, and office rooms. As the sisters made their way across the sunlit courtyard, though, they stopped in their tracks. Hyaktu had flung the eating hall door open and was now sprinting across the stone ground, his robe billowing out behind him. He entered through the next door over, which opened up to the entrance hall. Where's Dad going? Ren asked, baffled. Let's go find out, Zyn said eagerly, quivering in excitement. The 2 hurried after their father, sliding to a halt just outside the door that led to the entrance room. Zyn wished there was a window in the door for them to peer through, or a window in the hall itself, but there was nothing. She therefore turned the knob quietly, opening the door at the slowest pace she could manage. Hyaktu was at the front of the hall, where the 2 glass double doors sat. These doors were typically locked at all times, so nobody could enter or exit the school. But at the moment, they stood wide open. Hyaktu stood in the doorway, a teenager standing in the grass across from him. A small stone statue sat on the ground beside the teen, its appearance that of a frog with fangs. Zyn couldn't get a good look at them from the angle she was at, since she didn't want to open the door too far. Your name? Hyaktu was asking the teen. But the teen did not answer him, Zyn's heart picking up speed as she was tempted to lean in closer. Do you want to come inside? I'm not going to hurt you. I'm the founder of this school, and I won't allow any harm to come to you while you're here. After a moment, the teen nodded. As Hyaktu turned around to re-enter the hall, Zyn closed the door hurriedly, leaving it open just a crack so it wouldn't make noise when it shut. The sisters could hear Hyaktu and the teenager walk across the hall, their footsteps echoing in the empty space. Zyn hoped they weren't about to go to the courtyard, otherwise they'd run right into the twins. Luckily, they opened the door that led to another hall, this one smaller. The second hall held the doors that led to the healing, counseling, and admin rooms. They would likely sit in one of the offices. Come on, Zyn said to Ren. Ren nodded beside her. Pushing the door open once more, Zyn entered the hall and tiptoed to the door sitting on the left wall. She waited a long moment, then opened the door slowly and listened for footsteps. Unable to hear anything, she poked her head through and looked down the hall. Hyaktu and the teen had vanished from sight. "Where do you think they went?" Zyn asked, nearly muttering the words aloud. "Definitely not the healing room or storage room," Ren replied. "I doubt he'd take them to the security office either. They're just a kid after all, not a threat. So probably the counseling office or admin office." Zyn pricked her ears, angling her head to the first door on their left, which led to the counseling office. She couldn't hear any voices coming from within. "Let's try the admin office," Zyn decided. The sisters crept down the hall, keeping their footsteps as light as feathers. Once they were a few paces away from the admin office, they paused in their tracks, lingering just outside the door. Zyn could hear soft murmurs, but she couldn't determine what was being said, even as she closed her eyes to concentrate. She inched closer as slowly as she could, hoping she wouldn't stir the stuffy air too much. "Can you hear anything they're saying?" Zyn asked Ren irritably. Ren frowned beside her, focusing on the open doorway meters away. "A bit. It's kind of muffled. It sounds like Dad's asking them where their parents are." "Wouldn't be the first time a family camping trip's gone wrong," Zyn said, trying not to chuckle aloud. Over the years, several people arrived at the school, losing their way in the thick forest and unable to find their families. Hyaktu would always help the strangers locate their group, and they'd be on their way. Ren's frown grew deeper on her freckled face. "It sounds like they don't have a family." She cocked her head to listen better. Zyn blinked in surprise, shifting closer to the door, but her sister held her arm up to block her advance. Instead, Ren tiptoed ever nearer, her bare feet silent as they crossed the hard wooden floor. But before she could tell Zyn anything else, a new thought entered Zyn's mind. "Zyn, Ren, get in here." It was Hyaktu. He knew they were there.